Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Techie Tea. It's been a while since we've just sat down and had an informal conversation. So grab a cup of Techie Tea and let's get started. So today's episode is going to be all about interview prep, and it's going to be mostly based around internship interviews, especially for software engineering since that's my experience. However, I will try and give some general tips as well. First thing that comes to mind is since we're in this pandemic still, majority of interviews are still happening virtually. So make the most of this, and something you can do, which I've found useful, is keeping like a sheet of notes next to your webcam, because in an interview you can't just sit there with like flashcards of like what you wanted to say, and it can be nerve-wracking. But since we're in this situation, you can just have some notes already on the side. You can just quickly glance over whilst you're talking to your interviewer via Zoom or whichever Teams or whatever your interview is. There's a fly. Whatever your interview is held over. So that's the first tip that came to my mind. In terms of software engineering interviews, a lot of ways to prep are using LeetCode, HackerRank, these sorts of sites. And the one I personally like to use is LeetCode. So a lot of software engineering interviews require a coding challenge or some form of interactive coding at some point. For me, it was 2 coding exercises. Luckily, I wasn't being monitored by someone at the time. I just had to solve a problem and submit my solution. And so the majority of these types of problems, can you see that fly on the screen? Anyway, the majority of these coding problems are like simple ones you can find on places like LeetCode and HackerRank, and they're mostly in the easy to medium range. I've not experienced any in the hard range so far, so don't stress yourself trying to do the hardest problems. Just really repeat and repeat the easy ones. And here's a tip. Luckily, the majority of companies are lenient and will allow you to do these exercises in a variety of different languages. They'll give you multiple options. However, to really solve a problem, for me, I like to try and solve it in 2 or 3 different languages, because then it's not just memorizing the syntax, it's like I'm deeply actually understanding the logic of the problem, since I've looked at it, say I've done it in Python, Java and C. I think those are the options I did before. And so once you've done the same problem in 3 different languages, you can really get an in-depth understanding of the actual problem, because if you're just memorizing the syntax, how to actually write the code line by line, you're not actually learning anything. You may pass the interview, but then once you get into the job, you're not actually haven't actually learned anything. So that's a tip I would give. And we have beginners tutorials to all of the major programming languages on our channel, so feel free to check them out before your interview. And also, you guys seem to be doing really well at the moment. I love hearing your feedback. I know a lot of you guys are doing exams at the minute and you're crushing it. Keep the code coming, as we say. Keep the feedback coming. I would love to hear you guys' stories, and you're all doing so well. I'm so proud and so happy that you guys are learning stuff from this channel, and it means a great deal to me. Also, you guys, we have such an exciting opportunity coming up. I'm looking for 2 volunteers, and we're currently hiring right now. I will leave a link in the description for more details about that. But basically, it will give you guys a chance to contribute to this channel. So I'm so excited to work with you guys. But back to interview prep. In terms of general interviews within tech, because we're going to talk about that obviously, there are 2 main types of interviews, a behavioural interview and a technical interview, and usually you will get both when applying for a job. A behavioural interview is mostly just an informal chat like we are having now. Get to know your personality, get to know your likes and dislikes within your field, stuff like that. Get to know the interviewer, get to know the company. A technical interview, on the other hand, is speaking to an interviewer about your skills, your actual technical skills. And usually this will be, you'll be asked stuff about object orientation, data structures and algorithms, those sorts of things. And we have some recent videos on those topics on this channel as well. Be sure to check them out. But technical interviewers tend to be the most daunting because it's, you're testing your actual knowledge, which is mostly just memorization, unfortunately. But like I said at the beginning, an advantage of these virtual interviews is you can have some notes at the side of your screen, so make the most of that, guys. Obviously, don't just, lean on those notes and use them. Actually try and learn these concepts for yourself, but obviously during an interview you can have a mind blank and it's a lot of pressure. So, do make it easier on yourself. Don't feel the need to just go into it with no preparation whatsoever. Use notes if you have to. And plus that shows that you really care. Even if you have to stop and, say, look, I've taken some notes, let me just read over them. Any nice interviewer would, see that as you being prepared, and that's a good quality to have in an employee. So you guys, I actually have an internship coming up of my own in the summer, and a lot of you guys are very interested to know about that. Obviously there's only so much I can say, but I will try and document my journey over the next few months for you guys, give you some general tips for interviews. That's what we're talking about today, internships, I mean. So I'm all over the place today, but what can I say? I'm just excited to sit down, chat with you guys, because a lot of you guys are also looking for internships. And at the start of this video I've left a little link to a little plug to my ebook I've created, which should really help you guys get some tips and tricks to get an internship. But obviously that's leading up to the interview stage. Another helpful tip for interviews: have your failure stories ready. Obviously in an interview you feel the need to present the best version of yourself. However, it's really actually impressive when you can tell an interviewer about a time that you failed and how you've recovered from that, because that shows that you're relatable and you know how to recover from your mistakes. So I often give the story of how I failed maths in high school and how I'm now a maths tutor at my university, and that's always a really impressive story to people. And so have stories like that in the bank. Have a story about a time you failed, have a story about a time you disagreed with a colleague. Have these scenarios in mind, because these are things that interviewers like to know about. Also, don't be afraid, you guys, to apply for these big companies, FANG companies, because obviously the competition's fierce, but at the very, very least it will give you experience. The more interviews you do, the better you get at them, the more you learn about them. So guys, honestly, just don't be scared. We don't need imposter syndrome around here. Just go for it, you guys, and I will have your full support the whole way. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Techie Tea. As I said, it's been a while, it's been a bit all over the place, but I hope to do more of these episodes soon, just to have a quick chit chat. Check a link in the description below about our upcoming opportunities, and I will see you guys next time.